Ahoy, Wastelanders! Welcome to another episode of Apaka Fitness. Today we are going to be working on a yoga warrior or yoga sculpt kind of workout. It is an active recovery day for me today. I skipped a couple of days at the gym too this week, so let's get into it. It is a little bit cold here in my shelter, and today we are going to start with some cat-cow warm-ups. I know we've talked about this before on my channel. Oh, I hope I get warm really quick because it is cold in here. But cat-cow, it's a pretty simple movement. We're going to pretend like there's a string in the middle of our back and it's pulling us up, and a string kind of coming through and pushing our stomachs down. So it's going to be this kind of movement to start to, get our spine warmed up and get ready to make some movements. You can do a breathing practice with it. You can do it in and out. Breathing in there, out, in, out. Just getting our spine nice and ready to do this work. This is going to be a blend of yoga and a dumbbell workout. So you will need dumbbells or maybe some elastic for this. Not elastic, what do we call them? Bands. Some of the elastic bands for this. You can also just kind of come into this movement and do some child's poses. You can it's going to be kind of hard to see from this. So whenever I'm doing some movements like this, I'm going to do my, I might do my, it's really hard to tell. So you might try just doing some child's pose and just whatever feels good and natural. I'm going to kind of bring my hips out to the side. Ooh, and that's going to really stretch at my hips. It's going to get my hips warmed up. As I've mentioned before, I do have some issues with my hips. So it's really important for those to be warmed up. And, a really good tip I learned for folks who have a little bit of a problem with executive function, maybe those who are neurodivergent in some way. One of the really great ways to get started is just show up for the warm-up. Just show up for the warm-up, and often you'll feel like doing the rest. So we may or may not have chatted about this, but we're also going to do we're going to start in we're going to do a yoga flow. So we're going to do a downward dog, and then we're going to do a plank to cobra and up to a low lunge. I'm going to try to do this with my socks on because, again, it's very cold. Again, I need to actually pull this up. It is not sticky enough. If you do not have a sticky mat, I recommend you get one. If you intend to plan, or if your plan is to do yoga, I do recommend a sticky mat. So I always like to start in a downward dog. This is a V movement. We're pushing our hips back and up, okay? You may not be able to straighten your legs out, and you may not be able to put your feet all the way down, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can pedal your feet and get your hamstrings kind of warm. We're going to go to a plank, okay? And then we're going to lower ourselves down. I'm going to do it really slowly. I'm going to come up. You can put your legs down. This is a cobra. You can come up on your feet. If this is where you can get, this is where you can get, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's start from the top. Downward dog. Okay. We can pedal our feet back and forth here. I'm going to come into a plank. You can pause here for a moment. Lower yourself down into a cobra. You can put your feet down. You can come up on your feet. You can stay on your thighs if you want. And then we're going to tuck our feet, come back into a downward dog. And we're going to take one foot. I like to bring mine up and kind of out to stretch my hips out. And I'm going to come and bring my knee to my elbow. I'm going to go back up and bring my knee to my other elbow. We're going to match each side, okay? So knee to the same elbow, back up, knee to the opposite elbow. Okay. And then from here, you can still keep pedaling your feet. You can step forward into a low lunge. Okay. So we're going to come into a low lunge, and we're going to put our arms overhead like this. You could look up if this is helpful to you. And then we're going to bring our arms back to the side. We're going to leave our opposite hand at the inside of our foot. So right now I have my right foot out and my right foot in the front, and I have my left hand on the ground. And then we're going to do a twist. We're going to turn our palms towards this wall, okay? And we're going to look up. We're going to take a breath. We're going to breathe through all of these, okay? We just can't breathe and talk at the same time. And then we're going to push our foot back, and we're going to do it all over again, okay? So I'm going to go back into downward dog, and I'm going to bring this foot between my hands, okay? And then I'm going to, in a breath, bring my arms up and look up. You can really, if you want to push yourself, you can pull your hands back and really arch your back. You're going to breathe through these movements again. I'm going to place my right hand placed on the ground. You may not be able to do this. You may need a block. You may need to put your, actually I don't know if you can do it that way. You may need a block or something. Again, same movement here. It's a twist of the spine. And we're going to place our hand back and push our feet back. I'm going to come down into child's pose and just take a moment here. And then we're going to repeat this sequence all over again. So we're going to go back to downward dog. We're going to pedal our feet if we need to get those hamstrings nice and warm. And then we're going to move to plank and then come down to cobra. It's one movement. You can come down onto your feet and let your thighs hover, or you can do this on your knees. And then we're going to come back into downward dog. And we're going to go through the same movements again. So I'm going to do my leg up. I'm going to open up my hips so that my hips are stacked on top of each other. You may not be able to do this, and that's okay. Elbow to the, or knee to the same elbow, and then to the opposite one. Back up into the sky, and I'm going to attempt to plant my foot between my legs into a low lunge. I'm going to come up. Remember, we're doing breathing movements. Place my hands back down. Leaving my left hand on the ground. I'm going to come into a twist. I'm bringing my hand back down and back into a plank, and then to downward dog. We're going to do the same thing on this side. I think we did this move at the same time on the other one. I'm going to open up my hips on this side, and then I'm going to bring my knee to the same elbow. In this case, it's my left, and then to the right elbow. Okay, back up, and then we're going to place our foot between our hands and come into this low lunge. From here, breathe into this and back down. Again, a twist. And back to plank and to downward dog. We're going to go through this sequence one more time. Okay, so you can pedal those feet. You can rest here for a moment if you need to. Okay, put the leg up, open the hip, right elbow, left elbow. I think I'm not doing this correctly. Foot between your hands, twist. Every movement is a breath. Back into a plank, to downward dog. Okay. And again, open up those hips. Knee to elbow, same arm. Knee to elbow, opposite arm. And plant your foot between your feet. Again, if you need a block for these, you can absolutely do that. Twist. And I'm gonna, this time, instead come into chair. Come into the chair pose. And we're gonna come here. Our palms should be facing each other. And you should be in a fairly decent squat here. You can bring your hands together at your chest. This move may not be available to you. When I was much bigger, I could not do this. So do the modification that you need to for this. This is another twist. We're getting our body warm. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I like to start here though. Bring my hands to my chest and push. Use my elbow to push. Again, if this is not available to you, you might not be able to do the push. You might have to come, you might have to rest here instead of here, okay? Nothing wrong with that. So, but if you are able to do this, you can push with your elbow into this pose, okay? And then we're gonna come back into warrior, into chair pose. And then what I want you to do is hinge forward. You don't have to straighten your knees all the way. Don't straighten your knees. You want to have a slight bend at least. And then you can grab your elbows and sort of rock side to side. And yeah, just feel the weight of everything. Get a good stretch in there. If you're going back into downward dog, you can place your feet back. You can hop back into a plank. And then push your hips up to downward dog. Okay, from here we're going to step our foot between our hands and come into warrior one. This is warrior one. We're going to breathe into warrior two. You're going to slightly pivot your back foot and you're going to come into a back bend and then to a side lunge. Okay, back bend. Back to warrior two. You can place your elbow on your knee, or you can come all the way down to this side lunge. You should be feeling pretty warm at this point. Because I'm going to breathe back up into warrior two, back into another side bend, or back bend, and then bring my hands back between my where my foot is between my hands and back into a plank. Okay, and then I'm coming back into the downward dog. And I'm still pedaling here. And I'm going to step my foot between my hands, come into warrior one, to warrior two. I'm going to pivot my foot back. And then back bend here and windmill to a side lunge. I think this is called a triangle. No, it's not. And then I'm coming back up into warrior one. I know this is, if you're a yogi, this is not a traditional flow. To warrior two, to a back bend. Back to warrior two, into the side lunge. Okay. And we're going to step back again into a plank to, you guessed it, downward facing dog. From downward dog, we're going to do a very similar sequence, except this time we're coming into chaturanga. So what we're going to do here, instead of going for just cobra, we're going to do push-ups. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you need to modify, feel free. Go to your knees. You can, the knees is probably good good for most folks. From the beginning, again, downward dog, pushing those hips kind of up, okay? We're pedaling our feet back and forth, and then we're coming forward to a plank, and then push up. Okay, so that's the move. 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to downward dog. Okay, and we're going to bring our foot between our hands, and we're going to breathe through this. So we're going to go warrior 1, 2. Oh, warrior 2. Pivot your foot back. Back bend. Breathe through the flow. I'm going to stay here for a couple of breaths. I'm going to come back into a warrior 2. Back bend. Back to your hands on the ground. Push your foot back. Back to downward dog. Same thing on this other side, okay? Plant your foot between your hands. Come breathe into this warrior 1. Warrior 2. Back bend. Side lunge. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Back up into warrior 1. Plant your hands down between your, or framing your foot into a plunge, then push back into a downward dog. Just one more round, okay? So, here we go. Back in the chaturanga push-ups, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to downward dog. We're going to bring our foot between our hands, and then up into warrior 1. We're going to breathe through into warrior 2, and to a side bend, a back bend, and we're going to breathe into a side bend. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Come back up into a warrior 2. And then we're going to plant our hands on the ground again. Back to plank, into downward dog. Okay, we got one more round. Remember, this is kind of a combination of strength and endurance and yoga. We're coming back into chaturanga. 5 push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back to downward dog. We're going to take our foot and plant it between our hands, and let's do the flow. For a couple of breaths. Oh shit. And then plant your hands back down, back to downward facing dog. Should be feeling it. You should be pretty warm by now. Planting that left foot. Warrior 1. Warrior 2. Back bend. Flow into side bend. Back into warrior 1. Move to warrior 2. I feel like doing another back bend, so I am going to do another back bend. And then we're going to plant our hands back down. And good job. Let's take a rest. Right now you can go grab a drink of water. Whatever you need right now. We're going to rest for about 1 minute. So you can pause here. You can stop here if you want, but it's more fun to do the whole thing. So for the next piece, we are going to start in downward dog. We're going to need some weights. I recommend some light weights for you, maybe 2 to 5 pounds if you're just starting out. I can only find my 12s are the lightest ones I can find, so if you see me struggle, you might see me struggle, and there's nothing wrong with that. Is it recording? Yes, it is. So, alright, so we're going to start in downward dog, and we're going to either hop or step to our feet between our hands, and then we're going to come into chair pose, but we are going to grab our dumbbells, and we're going to glue our arms to our, basically we're going to glue our lats to our arms, and then we're going to kick back. Oh God, this is so heavy. So let's do 10 to 12 here. That's 3, 4. Remember, our elbows are kind of static. We're not moving our arms a lot. We're focused on just our triceps here. I don't know, is that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I am going to come down, and you can do this on your knees. You do not have to do this with your dumbbells, but if you would like a little bit of extra challenge, it creates a deficit. So you go down even further. I'm going to do 3 or 5, 3 to 5 here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So once we've done those tricep ones, I did go and find lighter weights because I think that's a little bit heavy to just kind of get right into. We're going to start in mountain pose, and make sure to have your weights in front of you. We're going to do some shoulder exercises. For these, I am going to go a little bit heavier, and we're going to come down into a little bit of a plie squat. Your toes should be pointed out. You don't have to go all the way down. You should feel some tension in your glutes back here. If you have bad knees, holding with your glutes will take some of the pressure off your knees. If you have bad knees, maybe just a gentle squat for this one. So for this one, we're going to bring our weights up, and we're going to go for 10 to 12 in a squat. 1, 2, and you should just come to 90 degrees. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can go to 15 if you want. 13, 14, 15. At the gym, I'm usually doing 35s. So this is incredibly light for me. You'll get there if that's your goal, right? So we're gonna do this series over. Series over again. We're gonna start again in downward dog. Maybe pedal your feet if you need to. Okay, hips should be making a V. Should be feeling a stretch in your hamstrings. Pedaling those feet if you need to, and you can either step or hop into with your feet between your hands and into a chair. Grab your weights again, and we're gonna stay in the squat, this little chair pose squat. We're basically gonna hold our biceps to our lats, just really like there's some mute fruit or something underneath in your armpits, and we're just going to kick back with the dumbbells. I think that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'm going to hold it at 12, and then we're going to grab our heavier weights, if you have them, and come into our plie squat. And ready? Let's do 12 to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, already starting to feel that burn. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good job. 13. 13, 14, 15. Whew. All right. Take just a few seconds rest. I'm going to grab a drink of water. So, starting back in downward dog. Pedal the feet if you need to. Should be feeling some kind of stretch in the hamstrings. And either step elbow up to your sides and do a pushback. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to hold it at 12, and then I'm going to prepare to do the shoulders. So again, a little plie squat, toes turned out, and let's begin. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Good job. I think that was 3 rounds. All right. Take a little break. 30 seconds to a minute here. If you made it all the way here, you showed up. You're doing the work. You're showing up, and at this rate, we'll be able to, stack some more points into endurance and even intelligence, because as you're doing this, you're learning a little bit more. You're learning a little bit more about how to functionally exercise, and you should be really proud of yourself. So for the next section, we are going to work on some movements that will involve our core. So the first one is one of my least favorite, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it anyway. So it's called the boat pose. Okay. What you'll want is also, it's very similar to a hollow hold, which for me is kind of the same thing. So what you're going to want is to kind of almost have your body kind of looks like a V or a U, and we're going to kind of make some contractions like this, okay? Let's go for 12. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whew. All right, and then we're just gonna do a plank. Part we are going to do is going to be planks. I'm going to show you some variations that you can do just to get through your planks. We're going to start at 1:30. I used to take a class from another Wastelander who would do a 5-minute plank. So I think this is sort of a happy medium. As you know, I know many of you are beginners or just looking for a place to start. This workout might actually be pretty challenging, and yeah, if you're still here, I congratulate you. If you did any of it, I congratulate you, but you're probably not listening to this part. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and start. You can start your plank high or low, it doesn't matter. So, some tips. So, our abs are engaged, and again, you can start high or low, okay? I think as far as feeling the engagement, you can do a lot of movements while you're in a plank. You can do hip dips. Actually, I don't know if that's what those are called, but that's what I call them. And anything to kind of distract you, okay? If you're bored, if you have like a mega strong core, then you can do like these where you put your feet in and out. Sort of the wider you have your feet, you're going to have a lot more control. So yeah, you can also push, like kind of go up on your tippy toes and push yourself forward. That'll engage your core more. We still have, 35 seconds to go. And I'm going to distract myself by doing my little hip dips. Okay, works those obliques. Oh, makes it much harder though. I'm going to come down. And sometimes it just helps not to think about it too much and just go up and down. So you can do these up downs. And 10 more seconds left. You can do anything for 10 seconds. You got it. Congratulations. You did a minute and 30 plank. Good for you. All right, so we're gonna do the boat pose again. You know, get a drink of water, rest for a second. If you have female anatomy, you recover much quicker, so you do not need to rest as long as someone with male anatomy. All right, back to the boat pose. Actually, I don't know if it's called boat pose. Back to the first thing we were doing. I call it really not super fun to do, but we're doing it anyway. Definitely abs are one of the areas I need to work on the most, that I work on the least. So we did 12 last time. I think we can go for 12 if we're still feeling like doing a few more. And by we, I mean me, the royal we. Then we can go for it. All right. So I'm gonna hold my hands out. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You did it. All right. And then we're going to do the plank again. I'm sorry. I know it's not a lot of fun, but I will try to remember to link below some of my workout playlists. One of them is definitely more jazzy, and the other one is more modern. So, yeah, I will link those down below. And let's do it again. Back to your whichever starting position you prefer. And let's go. Minute and 30. Oh, you can do it one-handed too if you want. I feel like that provides some kind of one-handed, one-footed. Okay, well, actually, no. If I'm strong enough for that, but you could do things like this. You know, if you really wanted to engage your core more, just moving around without completely disengaging your abs, that's the main thing. You can also just listen to someone like me yap the whole way through it. I'm going to do some little movements. And here I'm just pushing my knees down, keeping my core very engaged. I'm not letting my knees touch the floor. Coming down. Again, I'm checking the clock at the same time I was last time. Just about 30 seconds left. You got it. I'm saying to myself mostly. Alright, 13 seconds left. You got this. 13 more seconds. Alright, you did it. Congratulations. Alright, we made it through it. Oh, well, actually we need to do one more round, huh? Alright, take another little rest, and, yeah, we'll get into the boat pose. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm really glad you're here, if you're still here. Well, if you're not here, you're not going to hear me say it anyway. But I'm really glad you're here. I'm really sad that they're removing one of our TikTok broadcasting channel, which is looking like it's going to happen. It's unfortunate because I know many of us have built a community there. I just started being in the community, and everybody's been so welcome, and I'm very sad about it. So hopefully people will come here on this broadcast channel, and yeah, because I feel like we're not just losing that broadcast, we're losing our community. Anyway, last set of hard stuff. So let's go ahead and go back into the boat pose. Little feet out. And let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you need to do crunches instead, 7. Do that. 8, 9, 10. Or sit-ups. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Feel free to do an alternative exercise, which I probably should have said in the beginning, but I didn't. Oh, I thought it wasn't recording for a second. Are you ready to do another plank? Let's go. So 5 seconds. I'm going to start low this time. One thing that's making this harder for me is that I have socks on, because on broadcast channels I just don't want to show my feet. Yeah. Because even in the waists, it's a thing. I fear this is very easy. I could probably be in this this low pose for more than 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm just trying to get some more ab engagement out of it. You got this. I know if I look over, there better be less than 30 seconds left. Oh no. 31 seconds left. You got it. Whatever you need to do, just don't drop. Just keep those abs engaged. Just 17 seconds left. We can do it. 17 seconds. You got this. 8 seconds. Alright, we made it through the hard part. So we're heading into the cool down portion. And so what we're going to start with is, I think we've done this move together before. It's basically just a forward fold while we're seated. So to make this the most, I guess, effective, start with your hands above your head and lean forward. If you're able to reach your feet, that's great. If not, your ankles, your knees, whatever you need to do is fine too. And what I want you to do here is breathe deeply. So maybe a 4-second breath in, hold at the top for 2 seconds, and then breathe out through the nose, maybe 4 to 6 seconds. So I'm going to count in my head so that you can go along with me. So as you breathe out, try and surrender to the resistance. So what I mean by that is taking a breath in. As you breathe out, try to stretch, like just kind of go deeper into the stretch. Kind of notice the discomfort that you may be feeling and just kind of lean into it, okay? So big deep breath in. Hold. Very slowly through your nose, let it out. Breathe in. Oops, I breathed out. I breathed out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Slowly through the nose. Alright, so we did 3 pretty good breaths there. What we want to do next is a lying twist. I think we've done this move together before. And then it doesn't matter which side you lay your knees on first. I'm doing mine to the right. And then you're basically going to make a T with your shoulders. You're going to try to make a straight line across your shoulders and your arms. And you're going to try to put your palms down and then turn your neck the opposite way of your knees. You can use this hand that's closest to your knees to bring your knees up, to push them down, whatever you need to do to feel this stretch in your hips and your spine. I'm going to take a few deep breaths here. So a few minutes here. A few breaths here. As you're breathing, I want you to really focus in on the sensations in your body and in, your throat, the sensations of cold air as you breathe in. Where are you feeling that cold sensation? Is it going down to your stomach? Is it in your throat? Can you feel where your body is making contact with the floor? How about the stretch you're feeling? On your next breath, I want you to switch sides. On the breath out. Same thing. Take a few deep breaths here. Do some breathing together. Big deep breath in, hold at the top. I want you to breathe out slowly through your nose. And then, after a few breaths, you can try doing a happy baby. You can grab the inside of your feet, the outside of your feet, it doesn't matter. I like to grab the insides and push down, because again, I have a lot of hip issues. So I do like to try to really get a nice stretch in my hips. This also will stretch your inner thighs pretty well. So your glutes, just an all around like flexor mechanic actions happen in your hips. It's a good stretch for that. Oof. And it's called Happy Baby because you just can be a little happy baby in this pose, okay? And babies tend to grab their feet and play with them. All right. And go ahead and give yourself a loving squeeze. You can grab your knees and go in a couple of directions to kind of massage your lower back. Go clockwise, counterclockwise. Oh. And then I want you to lie all the way down into Savasana. Take a big deep breath. If you're having any thoughts come up right now, go ahead and name them. Are you feeling worried about something? Are you thinking about other things going on in your life? Is it anger? Is it jealousy? Is it a feeling of lacking? I want you to notice those feelings you're feeling and just name them and say to yourself that they're there. You can notice them. You don't have to believe those thoughts. You don't have to give in to those thoughts. Because you're worthy and you are valuable the way you are. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of community. And you're worthy of showing up for yourself. Whenever you're ready, you can come over to one side or the other. So this pose is called Savasana, which is also known as the corpse pose. So any side you choose, I'm going to choose the right side. And this is the fetus pose, the fetal pose. So essentially, once you take a big deep breath here, you can sit up as you are reborn. And just thanks again for showing up. And if you liked this at all, I don't care if you're a ghoul or a vaulty or a surfy, it doesn't matter. You can follow me, give me a little love, interact with this broadcast, and I'll see you out in the wastes.